Internationally renowned Australian horseman and entertainer, Guy McLean is a proud Australian that has taken his beloved country to the world through his horsemanship, bush poetry, and double-handed stock whip mastery to show what his treasured homeland is all about. From the Queensland's bush to the bright lights of Las Vegas and New York City, and every major equine festival in between, please make welcome Guy McLean.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for hanging around. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. We've had a little bit of trouble with the scheduling to work in with the show. I've already done 2 demos today, but it seems that some of you expected us to be here at 6, and if you expect me to be somewhere, here I am. I'd love for you all to come down this end. Those of you who are just resting and using the seats, you stay up there, that's fine. And then those of you who would like to come down and get closer to the action, please do. I've done my demonstrations here for the last 4 days, and it's very much my performance. Now, I want to invite you into my arena at home and some of the things that I do to prepare my horses. So when I'm doing a show, I'm really looking for my horses to showcase everything they know how, everything they're good at. When I'm doing a training demo, I'm looking for the things they're not good at. So it'd be like watching a 100-metre sprinter. When he goes to do the Olympics, he turns up and there's some certain things that he will do, but at home he does things a little different. So I'm going to show you what I would do if I was working these horses at home. For those of you who have been watching me over the last 4 days, you wouldn't have seen that beautiful young lady walking back and forth in front of the arena, but I see her every day. She's my beautiful wife, Emily. She's the backbone of our business. That's what she tells me, and I believe her. She does the bookings and all the work. Anything you see Guy McLean Horsemanship do, it's either by me or Emily. We're a very small team, but we're very dedicated to sharing horses with the world. So we're just going to set this string line up. This is a wonderful big arena, but for training purposes, it's basically like getting, if you're in school, having the big arena is like the children sitting right at the back of the classroom. Having a smaller arena is like them sitting in the very front row where I want their full attention. So Emily's going to make that look tight. Biggest thing with boundaries is they need to look like they mean something, so we'll make that boundary look tight. I'm going to step away from these horses, and I'm going to ask them to move straight away and basically let them be horses for a couple of minutes, because for the last 4 days I've asked them to be high-level entertainers. And to tell you the truth, I did tell them that that was their last performance at 4:30, so they can have a little bit of time to roll and do what they need to do. Have a good look at them, please, because right now they look very pretty. Right now they've got no dirt in their coats, they're very shiny, they look wonderful. Give them about 30 seconds, that's going to change. The young horse that I'm on, this is the first time he's come into the arena as a performer, but he's been in this arena for the last 4 days helping me a whole lot. He's a 3-year-old, and as a 3-year-old, that would make him probably like a 15 or 16-year-old young man. So he's not ready to go out and to win the Olympics, but he's ready to have an understanding of life as a job. As a 15-year-old, I knew what it was like to work a hard day's work. Dad wouldn't make us do that for 365 days a year, but he would certainly make sure that we knew how to work, because it was important to grow up and be respectful. I'm going to step around them, put them into the center, get them away from the string line. The string line it's just a string right now. In training, we will put a light charge through that so they know not to touch it. So in this show, I don't want them to know that it's not on. I'm just going to ride around and put them back in the center. If they want to roll, I'm going to allow them to. But right now, I just want them just to be horses. I just want them to show you who they are. And after 4 days in the arena, they might be tired. They might want to lay down and have a rest. For those of you who know nothing about horses, fully grown horses sleep standing up. So if you see a horse laying down, he has to be very relaxed to do so. Horses will sleep standing up from the time they're about a year old, basically when their mother's no longer with them. And that means that they can be dead asleep, and if a predator comes, they can be awake and running in no time. Little things I'm doing here is basically setting this horse up for moves that I'm going to do in a second. I want this horse to be my legs, and so when I'm working these horses, I need him to be able to go where I want, when I want at a moment's notice. I'm going to ask him to do moves that totally mirror image the other horse. So if I'm going to work the other horse, I might have to stop as hard as that horse can. I might have to back up as quick as that horse can. Might have to turn and go as fast. So I'm just making sure he has that, because there's no good trying to educate the other horses if I don't have him educated. So working off another horse is great if the horse is educated. If he's not, the other horses just laugh and do whatever they like. You'll notice that I ride him around in what we call a collected frame. By collected, I mean he's not all strung out. His nose comes towards his middle and his hind end goes towards his middle. So it's very much like if you tell a young man to be collected, you want him to keep everything together, to not be whistling at young girls and concentrating on something else, but to be focused on the job at hand. I want to make sure when I'm training them that I can have ownership over all their bodies. So here I'm going to move his hind end around his shoulders. I'm going to move his shoulders around his hind end. I'm going to move both his shoulders and his hind end together. And all I'm asking for this horse to do, because I think he's very special, I purchased him because he's everything I want in a horse, but he needs to give his body to me, because he can use all his energy to do as I ask, or he can use all his energy to do the opposite. So I make sure that he's what we call off of my leg. So if I look off here to the left, I want him to glide off of my right foot. And I don't really put my leg on him right now. I'm just thinking right. Right now I'm just thinking left. And I just have him between my aids. So if my aids are my hands and my legs, I have him completely between them. Here I'm going to ask him to stay between my aids and do a little canter sideways to the left. And to tell you the truth, the absolute truth, that's the best canter sideways he's ever done. So I'm really thrilled with him, because he normally gives me a couple of strides and he quits. This is normally what his canter sideways looks like. And he quits, but he'll get better. The beautiful gelding Spin Abbey in the middle of that brush party, he does this really easy. Did you notice this horse just pushed his body into my foot? So I just say, my dear friend, move your body off of my foot and try again. It's natural instinct for a horse to push into pressure. So when we pick up on their bridle, it's natural instinct for them to poke their nose out. So through training, we've taught him to bring his nose to the bridle. It's also natural instinct for them to push against your leg. Through training, we've taught this horse to go away from leg, and I ask him to do a flying change. Here I'm going to see if I can have some speed control, because if I'm chasing one of these horses, or all four of them, I need to know that I can control him at speed. You'll notice I push my hands to his face. My reins are still tight enough that I have him by the softest touch of my fingers, but I'm not holding him in any way. I'm riding forward. Here I'm going to sit down on my pockets, ask him to stop, and go the other way. I want to be able to make sure that when I chase these horses, that I'm not in his way. No good me trying to ride like this, because really he should stop. So what I'm looking for is for him to stay underneath me. So if I look up here and ask him to canter, he should stay right underneath my body. A little bit of sideways to the left, a little bit of sideways to the right. And I know in my heart that this horse is going to be the best version of him, but very much like the great horse Spin Abbey, who's going to do some liberty work for me today. So as training, I know where my horses are at. I know which two are normally my best liberty horses, the ones that I can rely on 99 to 100% of the time, and I'm going to work on the one that doesn't. Right now, the pretty little white-faced gelding is the least educated in this team, and this is the best team that I have in 2 different countries, so he's highly educated. You'll notice my young horse stops, and I want him to shape up just like this horse. Now in my show, I call him, and I want him to come to me, but in training, I'm going to tell him to stay away. And I want this horse to totally mirror image him. So the more he runs off, the more he stops and turns, the better it is for me, because I'm training the horse that I'm on to copy this horse, to basically mirror image him. That horse wants to get back to the others, which is actually a good thing in training because it'll make his turns be faster. So I'm going to push up on him and I'm going to ask a little more. And really what I'm trying to do is just prove that I can control him. That little rear in the air, the little kick out, he's trying to tell me that I can't control him. And the wonderful thing is that I got all the time in the world here. They're going to let me use the arena even if they turn the lights off. I don't have to get out until I get what I want. You'll notice how I stay low in my movements and I stay connected to him. I really look at him because if my horse turns really sharply and I'm not with him, I'll get in his way and I'll pull on him. Here I'm going to back a step and ride to him. Now right now I'm not working a horse. In my mind I'm working a cow and he's sure acting like one. I'll push again. If he gets close to the fence, please just step away. Give him some room because when he swings his head over the fence, if he hits you, it'll be harder than someone punching you. So now I'm going to push on him. And ideally I want him to want to be with those horses because that's his job. He's a Liberty horse, so I want that. But he must come through me first. And by through me, I mean he must come and say, Dad, can I be part of this? 2 of those horses in there, I can't do this with. They won't let me. They'll just come to me straight away. So this horse is actually better for training a horse like I'm on. And in the beginning, this kind of work, this is really teaching them what it means to control them. This is this horse just being him. He has got he's got a competitive spirit. And he's performed beautifully the last 4 days, but I want him to be faultless, so I can bring a young horse in one day. And you can see that he's just trying to wait. He's very clever. And the biggest thing is for me not to get angry at him for when he's doing this, because when I get angry at him, he thinks he's winning. So here he thinks he's had a little win, and I'll just go with him. And if I had 4 of them in here, 4 of him, this would be really no good. But because I've got my best horses in here, they're just looking at him saying, Lightning, why are you being so silly? You know he's not going to get angry. He's just going to work you till he gets it. The main thing I'm looking for, you watch him here, he tries to get behind me, and I love that little horse then backed away all on his own. And all I'm trying to do is to get him to think and make his mind up where it's best to be. When he's fresh like this, he's thinking it's best to run and try and beat me. And he doesn't know what's right or wrong. He just knows that he's going to see if he's faster and stronger than the horse that I ride. He doesn't have any idea that he's actually helping me train this wonderful young horse. If I have to go and chase a cow one day, I'll be able to thank Lightning for what we've learnt. You'll notice how this young horse really turned sharp. There I got left behind a little bit. In a month's training of this horse will turn so hard that he won't let that horse get past him. Now in my show, when he does this, I've got to use another way to catch him. I've got to go and send him to the other horses, and I've basically got to do it his way a little bit. But in this deal, I get to do it our way. And I don't know if you notice that this young horse that I'm on is starting to watch him and read him better and better and better. And the more cow bred they are, so the more natural breeding they've got, the better off they'll do this. You'll notice the harder he turns, the more difficult it is for my young horse. If I was to ride one of my older ones, they would do it a lot more on their own, but they don't do it naturally like that. There will be a point in time where he'll just go, that's enough, Dad, I'm going to do it your way. And the biggest thing with being a horseman is not, or being a teacher, is not to be angry when it's not going your way, but just to stay in the moment And so when you're ready, you can do things both ways. You can do all the stuff you're doing, which is going to be harder for you, because if he was doing what the others were doing, he wouldn't be running at all. You'll notice the horse that I'm on is sweating a little because he's carrying a weight and he's having to do a lot more. Oh, I love that. The way he backed up there and held his ground, that was awesome. This is like a footballer learning how to block someone. You'll notice he kicks out and has a little play. I'm just going to help this beautiful boy. He just got a little lost there. When I say lost, he just ran off a little fast for me. And this is here, Lightning's getting a little above himself, where it's just becoming a game. But I know how to fix it. I could run him into that group and catch him again. But I'm kind of liking it. I'm going to do it until this horse really learns his position. As I say, he'll get to a stage where Lightning will go, it's no fun doing that with you because you're quicker than me. I'm going to back away there, push back again. I've got to be careful I don't go too far past because he knows. Now that kicking out, it's just a threat. I'm not in a position where he can get me. So it's a little bit like a child kicking nowhere near you. One thing's for sure, you don't get close enough for them to kick you. And when they are close enough, they're not allowed to kick. So I'm going to try a little different deal here. I'm just going to follow him now more than trying to stop him. I'm just going to follow him. I'm going to have to be aware that he doesn't knock into the horses, more that I don't knock into them. And what you hope with all of this work is that he just goes, how can I be like them, Dad? I say, well, you notice they're behaving themselves. So this would be like getting a student at the front of a classroom and making them do all of the work on the classroom board. You notice how I just let this horse I'm on, I just let him move and watch and follow. I make sure he stops on his ends and goes the other way. And I'd be doing the same exact thing if I was working a cow. And this is training. I mean, training's not as exciting as my performance, but if you hang around long enough, I'll do a little performing for you too. So that's what we're doing there, is locking him onto the group, which is really important because he's a group horse, that's his training, that's what he's supposed to do. And he's a horse too that one-on-one, like if I've got to do one demonstration a day, he is really quite awesome. He's a great pony for one demonstration. This is his third today and he's going, that's ridiculous. 3 demos in one day, that's just stupid. Well, that's life, mate. You don't get on the big bucks if you don't do the work. So you'll notice when he finally comes to me, I do neither of two things. Thank you. A lot of people, and he's educated to do this, so don't think this is something I've just taught him. He knows this job, but he wants to do what's natural. Natural to a horse is doing what suits them. Because if they do what suits them in the wild, they stay alive. But if he runs around in the wild, away from other horses and keeps away from the group, he's actually susceptible to predators. So I want to say to him, I want you to look for me and I'll keep you away from the predators. And you can see that he's educated because now that I've got that little win out of him, he sticks to me like glue. But just in the beginning, Lightning says, I want to do it my way. And that's all right. I remember being like that as a kid too. So I'm going to leave him there. And I'm going to try this one more time. When I say one more time, if he gets it right, I'm going to push on him again. Because it's when he's moving, his smartness and his cleverness to stay away from me, now he's using it the other way. He says, I cannot upset him by running off and being silly, so I'm going to try something else, and I'm going to stick to him like glue. I'm going to push on him here. Now I'm going to see if I can recapture him again, because it's when he's moving he gives me the most issue. And you can see he's sort of stuck between two worlds here. He's stuck between doing it his own way, which you've seen him do, and doing it my way, which you've seen him do. And you can see him really fighting with it. And then he goes, I'll do it your way because I won't sweat as much like that. And you'll notice I don't get angry at him for running off. I don't tell him how bad he was. See, a lot of humans, when we make a mistake, we're all told how bad we are. Instead of just saying, that's okay, at least you tried. Can you do it in a way that's more useful to me now? Here I'm going to push on these, have them move off. And you'll notice that these horses are a lot more educated in their work. This Precious Boy on my left, he's an amazing horse, and his job is not to do this. He does this for me because I ask him to, but his job is normally to be the ridden horse. So the fact that he even comes out and does this, he's been educated, but he's the horse that I ride. Here I'm going to bring all 5 of them together and ride them around. And I sincerely hope, and I know that Lightning, thank you, I know that young Lightning with the white face will eventually be saying in 4 or 5 years' time, he'll be looking at the young horse running around being silly going, just do what you're told and it'll be okay. Hope, Ozzy, Spin Abbey, they all went through that. The smartest, most wonderful businessman in the world was one day a snotty-nosed kid who knew nothing. Thank you. So we need to know that I see in this horse a horse as good as Hope one day. This horse here on my right will be a version of that horse there. And when I say a version of it, he'll be so good at his job that I will think as highly of him as I do of Hope in the middle there. He may never be a Spin Abbey on my left, but God only makes a few of them. He's very special. When I say he's very special in what he does within the team. You've seen this horse here go sideways for me and stop and turn. That horse just does it all like a Ferrari. He's amazing. But he's done 9 demos for me, so he can just rest. Thank you. I'll leave those 2 horses there, bring them over here. Thank you so much. And it's really important for me to remember too that a lot of you wouldn't have seen horses before, and you may not have seen ever horses doing this. I'm very blessed that this is my life. When I look out upon these horses, I don't look out on them and think that they are incredible or special. Thank you. I see them as special, but I don't say, wow, it's amazing. I just say, that's you just being the best version of you. That's you being the best version of who you can be. Here as I ride them round, this is much more about the horse that I ride. He's learning to go straight when I want him to, learning to be bent and soft and supple when I need him to. I'm going to ride past here. You'll notice that when he gets to the tail, it's natural instinct for him to want to be with the other horses, to be frightened of the tail of the other horses, but they soon learn that when I'm with them, there's nothing to be frightened about because I've taken care of everything. We'll ask him to go the other way. We'll try out Lightning's side pass now. Light. So you can see in this session, he's gone, yeah, Dad, we'll do it your way. And I love that. And if you speak to any of the greatest football coaches in the world, I'm sure they would tell you how the very best players used to want to do it their way, and they'd win a game every now and then, but the moment they became a part of the team, they could never lose. Hope is amazing, yes sir. Hope is amazing because he is all about the team. He says, Dad, what can I do to help you? Lightning says, what can I do to help Lightning? He's all about him at this stage. And we all go through that in the early stages of our career. Because you've all been so lovely, I'm going to show you what I do in my show. I'm going to ask beautiful Lightning to lay down for you. I'm going to get Spin Abbey, who's normally my ridden horse, and I'm going to bring him over. I'll take Ozzy. And I'll quite often ride the horse that I'm on at training at home. So I don't train with Spin Abbey anymore. I'm going to ask these horses to believe in me enough. Spin Abbey is normally being ridden when he does this, but he knows to do it for me. And there's Lightning showing you that he's working for the team beautifully. We'll leave Hope over there to make sure he's happy with what's going on. The reason I do these things is this just shows you that things that may seem unnatural in the beginning and may seem difficult become very easy. Now, that there is considered by people who watch me do it, thank you, as one of the hardest things in the world. But when you break it down to its smallest piece, all it was the horse on the ground laying down so quietly and so calmly, just like he does when he's under his favourite tree at home, and then the other horses just calmly and very gently moving their feet sideways. When you put those things together, it is the easiest and most simple thing to do. It's easier than the stops and turns I was doing. But if I got a young horse, an uneducated horse, and said, you are going to lay down today and I'm going to side pass 3 horses over you, it would be a mess. So I work incrementally with my horses to take them from a level of no understanding to what you're seeing today. And I believe that there is 3 different levels that I go with. And I think that it is really important. I tell everybody that these horses are my family. Sometimes with family, we don't do it properly. We say we love you unconditionally, regardless of how you act. But if you say that to a child, that you can do what you want, when you want, how you want, that child is going to get in trouble in school. That child is going to get in trouble on the road when he's driving. That child may end up in a prison. But if you say to them, I love you dearly, but you must learn things in this life that will keep you safe, and you must learn to say please and thank you and sorry, and you must learn not to cheat or steal, you're not being an awful parent. You are being their best friend, their best confidant, and the best parent you can be. And I'm not being a great horseman now. I'm a great horseman when I'm educating when they need it most, when they don't know how to pick the foot up the first time, when they don't know how to load into a trailer or have their first ride. Discipline, as long as it is done with love, is a beautiful thing. So I show my beautiful daughter who lives with her mum, because relationships are hard, I show her the most love when I'm teaching her things that will keep her safe, not when I'm giving her a lolly or telling her how pretty she is. And I do the same with my horses. I sincerely hope that what you've seen today has inspired you and that you think it's wonderful, but in my mind, this should be the normal. We should not be incredibly surprised when a horseman can do this, just like we shouldn't be very surprised when a child comes up and says, excuse me, sir, can I have your autograph, or can I pat your horse? But I nearly cry when I see a child with manners now, because you don't see it very often. If we didn't have manners when we were kids, we weren't allowed out of the house. And if we didn't have manners when we were children, we couldn't go and see my grandpa, because my pa wouldn't have someone around that didn't use their manners. So I think that all you're seeing here today is good manners, and that'll get you a long way. This will be my last demonstration here at the Big E for 2018. The arena's not full, but my heart is, because you all come and spent this hour with me. Thank you so much. We hope to see you down the road somewhere real soon. Thank you. Well done, boys.